Ruder ikke seg selv iallfall. Det gjør han ikke.
Han skal tale.
Ja.
Okay.
Hey!
Hello? Okay. So, well, first of all, I want to thank you. I know how difficult it is. I came a very long way for a reason. I came a very long way primarily to stand with you. You are my heroes. You are my heroes. I say that because anyone that's fighting for freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, anyone that's fighting for freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, individual rights is smeared, defamed, and libeled. And yet you continue this fight. And that speaks to your courage and your integrity. It grieves me that under the Sharia, if you criticize or you offend Islam, under the Sharia in Muslim countries, you can be put to death. You're executed. You're assassinated. In the West, the media, the enemy media, assassinates your character. You are marginalized, you are defamed, and this is a way of shutting people up. You must never, ever shut up. You need to understand, you must never, ever shut up. You must never let them shout you down, ever. This is not a religious battle. This is a battle of individual rights. Individual rights versus collectivism. Individual rights versus statism. We are fighting for the individual. The individual is the smallest minority in the world. It's equal rights for all. That is your platform. That is who you are. You need to understand what you're fighting for. It has nothing to do with religion. Now you can say, oh, but it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, this ideology has a religious component. I'm very disinterested in the religious component. It's irrelevant. I don't care if you worship a stone. Just don't stone me with it.
So great.
We're living in a world where truth is the new hate speech. And just telling the truth is a radical act. And we live in so cheap and tawdry an age that just telling the truth makes you a hero, and yet there are so few heroes. This is the Orwellian world that we're living in. It's an inverted, morally inverted world. But you need to know something, that you are right. You are right, and you are righteous. You are right, and they are wrong. And wrong is evil. And evil is anti-life. You are fighting for life. You're fighting for freedom of speech. You're fighting for freedom of conscience. And I will tell you that your political officials have abandoned you. And I salute the EDL. And I stand with the EDL. Because despite this and the other defense leagues, I want to thank for coming, all the various defense leagues, and my partner, Anna's Grabbers, all the Stop Islamization of Europe movements. I stand with them because no matter what we say is irrelevant. We are painted as haters. I'm not a hater. I'm a lover. I would never subject myself to this kind of smears, this kind of insanity. Look at you and look at them. Seriously. they say, oh, the EDL, their marches always, always get violent. Oh, really? Why is that? That's why. It's not the EDL that's violent. They're throwing firecrackers. They're throwing firecrackers at the police. And we're the bad guys. You must defeat the machine that is, twisting people's minds. And the machine is the N media. Each one of you is a one-man media organization. You have email lists, you have friends, you have, I don't know what they do in Europe. You play tiddlywinks? What? I don't know. I don't golf. I don't do anything. All I do is work. But you have to talk to people. You have to talk to people and you have to educate people. And you have to explain. You have to explain that this is not any kind of phobia. It's not Islamophobia. It's Islamorealism.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
There have been close to 20,000 deadly Islamic attacks since 9/11.
Yeah.
Each one with the imprimatur of a Muslim cleric. Each one with a mosque behind it. What is being done to expunge the Quran of the violent texts that inspire jihad? What? We're not even allowed to talk about it. We have to talk about it. You have to speak about it. You must have the courage of your conviction. You must not stop. You must come to these events. And I know how difficult it was to get here. And I know how that they discouraged attendance at this thing. You have to get the word out. The media is at war with you. The media is at war with freedom. They are very agenda-driven.
Yeah, that's correct.
They do not report the news. They do not report the news. They've abdicated their role in the dissemination of news and information. They're an activist organization. And they want to enslave you, and they want to enslave your children, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about slavery. So understand that your battle is the battle of the individual. Individual rights. Individual rights is your battle. It is not a religious war. It's a war for freedom. It's a war for life. And I will never give up. And I will never give in. It speaks to how dire the situation is that before I came here, the media was relentlessly, I don't know if you saw the interviews they were trying to conduct with me, incredibly libelous, blood libels. They spew blood libels. This is not journalism. You understand? This is war. They are at war with you.
Yeah.
You must understand the fight, and you must bring it home, and you must bring it to your town. And that is the enemy. And don't be afraid to say so, and don't be afraid to fight back. I'm here because I wanted to stand with my heroes. You are my heroes.
You are my hero too.
I mean, nobody wants to be defamed. Nobody wants to be smeared. Nobody wants to be called a hater. And this is what they're doing to shut you up. I implore you not to be shut up. I implore you to fight for freedom. I tell you that this is the greatest battle of our time. This is a long war, and I know you get tired, and I know you get fatigued, and I know you just want to turn your head. Don't do it. Don't do it. I implore you. You are right, remember, and you are righteous. And I'm proud to be here, and I'm proud to stand with you. I urge you to join these organizations. I urge you to get involved. I urge you to read Atlas Shrugs. I urge you to read Jihad Watch. And I want to salute Anders Gravis, who is my partner here in Europe.
Yay!
Tireless, fearless fighter, an excellent and righteous man, as each one of you are. And I will leave you with that. I will leave you with, you must fight the war. No one is going to save you. Listen to me. When Muslim terrorists flew those planes into the buildings, were those mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and stockbrokers and doctors and waiters and waitresses, were they our soldiers? Were they our fighters?
No.
Yes. Yes, they were. It's that kind of war. That's the war we're in. When the Fort Hood Jihadi mowed down U.S. soldiers in Texas, those were our soldiers. But we have a president that won't call that jihad. We have a president who, despite the fact that that Major Hassan was screaming Allahu Akbar, wearing the garb of the Shaheed, giving out Qurans the morning of his jihad, the U.S. government will not call it jihad. It's workplace violence. All right? This is what we're up against. But if people don't know it, then it's not happening. Well, it is happening, and it's incumbent upon you. It's incumbent upon you to fight back in the information battle space. That's where we are right now. The information battle space, the war of ideas, and all the bullets and the bombs and the bloodshed come as a result of what happens in this war. Be a soldier. You cannot stand on the sidelines. Get involved. Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
We're gonna win this war! Yes!
Why are we here? What are we fighting for? We're fighting for a vision of a free society where people can speak out and dissent against government policies without fear of retribution, without fear of arrest, without fear of violent attack. That is the force that we are fighting against. The force of totalitarianism. The force of evil that is so insecure and so afraid that it has to try to drown out a dissenting voice. It has to try to shout down and to violently threaten someone it disagrees with, rather than engage us in a dialogue and a discussion, because they know, of course, that if they did, their ideas would be shown to be false, would be shown to be life-destroying, would be shown to be destructive of societies. And so all they can do is shout us down. All they can do is blow their horns. All they can do is try to attack us physically, because they cannot defeat us intellectually or morally. No, I will never shut up. We are fighting for a truly free society in which all people have equality of rights before the law, and there is no special privileged class. It is no coincidence, and it is no accident that these leftist forces of totalitarianism who are trying to drown us out are working hand in hand with Islamic supremacists who want to bring Islamic law to the West, which also, as Pamela said, denies the freedom of speech, denies free discussion and free inquiry, and will violently threaten those who dare to step out of line. There is no accident there in that convergence. They are the forces of authoritarianism, the forces that are arrayed against freedom and democracy and true human rights. We are standing for the freedom of speech. We are standing for the right of free human beings in a free society to speak their mind. We're fighting for the freedom of conscience against those who would violently threaten and even kill someone who comes to a different vision of the ultimate good and the ultimate truth from what they have. We are fighting for the equality of rights of all people before the law against an entrenched legal system that systematically denies equality of rights to women and equality of rights to non-Muslims. We are fighting for a society in which everyone can have a place as long as everyone respects the rules of the society in which they're in and does not try to bring in this radically intolerant system that is trying to impose itself upon us. Tolerance of the intolerant is suicide.
Yes, that's correct.
And there is no way that our free societies can survive unless we stand up and are determined to enforce the laws that we have and the ideas, the principles of the equality of rights of all people and the freedom of speech. The freedom of speech is rapidly being eroded. Not only are we smeared and defamed everywhere, but also As you know, the governments of Europe and the United States are now working with, in talks with, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton met with Ekmeladini Sanolu, the Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, in order to discuss ways to circumvent the freedom of speech and to criminalize the defamation of religion. We're not about defamation of religion. We're not about attacking any religion, as Pamela said, but we have to speak the truth about these things. And this is not Islamophobia, this is Islamorealism. So, when we speak the truth about Islam's agenda to subjugate the rest of the world under its sway and to render us unequal and second-class citizens in an Islamic state, then they call that defamation of religion, even though it's abundantly clear from the Islamic texts and teachings that that's exactly what the agenda is. And so the Secretary of State actually met with the OIC, and the Assistant Attorney General just recently refused to affirm that he would protect the freedom of speech and not try to criminalize the criticism of Islam. If this kind of thing is allowed to happen, and if this kind of thing succeeds, and if these violent fascist thugs get their way, that will be the extinguishing of our free societies. And so we must never let this fascist thugs and the fascist system of Sharia prevail in Sweden or in the UK or anywhere in Europe or in the United States. And we will stand resolutely, no matter what it takes, for freedom and for human rights. And on that basis, I thank you all so much for being here, and thank you for being in this great struggle.
Thank you, Robert! Thank you, Robert!
First of all, I'd like to say how blessed I am to share a stage with Pamela, Robert, and the backing they've given and support. There's been a media campaign against us. We're slandered, we're smeared, and they've seen through it and supported us from day one. So I'd just like to say a big thank you to staff. Some of you may have heard about 6 weeks ago, there was a car stopped in England. It had an IED, it had shotguns, and they had machetes. They were travelling to our demonstration to attack, murder, and kill us. This is what this is like Baghdad. This is in Britain. They disagree, so they want to murder, kill, and maim. Now, England, from day one, I've had 3 official Osman warnings, okay? They want to murder me, they want to kill me. I want to take this platform and this moment to send a message to every Islamist that watches this video. These colours don't run, they don't hide. They never have, they never will. We will not submit, we will not be silenced. And the difference between... I don't want to big the English up too much, but the difference between the English race and any other race is we are second to none. When you killed Pim Fortuyn, all these people, I actually personally believe that if you do a terrorist attack on our organisation, or you kill me, 1,000 Tommy Robinsons will be born in my country tomorrow. And it will be a single moment like this that will change the direction of our nation. Defining moments in history change the direction of a country, as we saw with Bloody Sunday in Northern Ireland. It will be a moment like this. So any Islamists planning it or thinking about it, you will personally be responsible for the end of your backward cult in our homeland.
Tommy, it sounds great!
There are dark times ahead. At a moment like this, we don't need Neville Chamberlain, We need Winston Churchill. We need leaders, not appeasers. We need brave people. Fear is paralysing, and fear has paralysed our political elite, our leaders. They are petrified of the so-called religion of peace. Winston Churchill on Islam in 1899. I will quote, if we had Winston Churchill leading our country now, he will lead us out of the dark times. How dreadful are the curses which Mohammedanism lays besides the fanatical frenzy which is as dangerous in a man as rabies in a dog. There is this fearful phallastic apathy. The effects are apparent in many countries. Improvident habits, slovenly systems of agriculture, sluggish methods, insecurity of property exists wherever the followers of the Prophet rule or live. The fact that Mohammedan law, every woman must belong to some man as his absolute property, either as a child, a wife, and must be a great power among men. Individual Muslims may show splendid qualities, but the influence of their religion paralyses the social development of those who follow it. Now, he established this 100 years ago. Islam has not changed. It has not evolved. It's been going on for 1400 years. Now, everyone, even in our organisation, people seem to get discouraged because this is a lifelong battle. You're not going to defeat militant Islam in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5 years. They're here. There is the enemy within, and every one of us, when we're standing up to this plate, we need to realise that this is going to be a lifelong struggle. It's not going to go away. And nervous. Freedom doesn't come cheap. It never has. It never will. Millions have died for freedom. Every one of our country's soldiers are fighting, they're suffering, they're dying in faraway fields against the forces of Sharia for our freedom to stand here today. Somehow, all it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. Now, after today's demonstration, guaranteed, all the media reports will say, trouble flares at English Defence League rally. Trouble flares. It will not state that it was the Islamists, it was the far left attacking police officers. It will be pushed and the blame will be put upon us. So, anyway, that's it. I'm going to make it short and sweet.
Yeah.
And obviously, Malmö, we're in Sweden. You have some beautiful women in Sweden, man. I've only been here for 2 days, so I'll give you a round of applause for that. But it is like an invading army. When you look at the rape rate in Malmö, it is like an invading ideology has come into this beautiful country and started raping the women. And I'm sorry, but the men have not been doing anything about it. So we want to stand here to try and let people hear our voices, understand people are standing up, they're stepping up to the plate. There are organisations in every single country now that you can join to combat this Islamofascism. I swear, boy. And obviously, I'd like to thank everyone that's travelled, and God bless you all, yeah? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, heja Sverige, hello Stockholm. Dear Pamela and Robert, a very special thank to you both of you for making the long journey and joining us here in Stockholm today. Your incredible work has been an inspiration that has helped us in our struggle for preserving humanity, freedom and equality. As a woman, I demand to preserve my right to look as I fancy, not the way how some old circumcised and perverted idiot in a funny headgear dictate. I demand to preserve my right to choose my partner and to decide how I live my life. Most of all, as a mother, I demand that my child has the liberty to grow up in a free world where humanity and equality determine the top values of the society. Sad reality is that there are a large number of countries where I would get gang raped, tortured and finally stoned to death for saying what I just did. Even sadder is that there are people who'd like to impose such values here, in civilized world, on this very ground that we are standing on right now.
And now!
Out there and there are herds of self-proclaimed human rights activists who call us Nazis and racists. At the same time, those vandalizing and rioting useless idiots chant death to Israel and hush all crimes committed against humanity in the name of fascist ideology and history's longest living lie, Islam. They call us racist and Nazis for having the courage to stand here and talk openly about Islamic reality. They glorify violent hate crimes motivated by Islam and committed against Israeli civilians in the name of bogus Palestine, and yes, they dare to call us Nazis and racists. I stand here next to my Jewish friends with the Star of David waving next to me, promoting freedom and human rights, and they still call me a racist and Nazi. Give me a break. Go home, you bunch of despicable little morons. Go home and go home. I am here from the Finnish Defence League, so I want to tell you some facts about Islam in Finland today. As you know, history has proven that Islam is considered peaceful and in fact acts peacefully as long as Muslims make less than 2% of population. As soon as the number of Muslims exceeds 2%, reaching 5, peaceful coexistence starts to change its nature. First, Muslims start converting people to Islam, mainly targeting outcasts of the society and members of minorities, as well as locals who already foster radical ideologies. Such locals are usually young leftist men and foolish girls who are forced to convert to Islam marrying a Muslim. Take the subway ride to East Helsinki someday and you will see what I'm talking about. As soon as number of Muslims exceed 5%, they start to demand special rights such as halal meat at schools, recognition of Muslim holidays by law to Muslim employees,